In the 11th century, the Persian poet and Ismaili scholar Naser Khosrow produced a dense volume of esoteric thought called the Khwan al-Akhawan. In it, he constructs a rigorous metaphysical framework by starting with one of the most accessible observations in nature. Khosrow argued a structural premise governs the physical universe. An apple tree's leaf is round, mirroring the fruit itself. The pear leaf extends into the teardrop geometry of the pear. This outward physical appearance, its zahir, is direct proof of its hidden inward reality, its batin. The physical origin of the plant mathematically dictates its ultimate physical manifestation. The seed contains a structural truth that the leaf and the fruit are forced to express. If the physical world operates on this strict logic of mirroring, then human existence must also possess a hidden structural blueprint. Our physical biology reflects a specific engineered purpose. Curious, analytical tone. If the physical world is a mirror, what exactly is it reflecting, and who designed the glass? Using Khosrow's text, we can demonstrate that the physical universe functions as a metaphysical text, authored by a higher intelligence and written in the language of physical form. Interpreting this physical text through esoteric philosophy serves as a survival mechanism in Khosrow's framework. The soul requires these insights to establish its own independent structure. The logic governing the shape of a pear leaf scales upward to provide the structural blueprint for human consciousness. This journey traces that architecture from the simple geometry of nature to the complex design of the human spirit. Mapping the precise relationship between the outer manifestation and the inner reality provides the instructions required to reverse engineer the human soul. Applying this botanical logic to humanity requires us to identify our ultimate manifestation. We must ask what the final fruit of the human tree actually is. This diagram illustrates Khosrow's answer. Intellectual speech is the defining fruit that separates humans from all other animals. It is our capacity for logic, reason, and language. To explain where this capacity originates, Khosrow introduces the concept of the nafs ekol, or the universal soul. The universal soul is the animating principle structuring the universe, providing the hidden blueprint all physical matter follows. Within this energy flow, prophets act as critical nodes on the human tree. Prophets serve as the messengers of the universal soul. Their function is highly mechanical. They are tasked with a specific process of translation. They take abstract, eternal spiritual forms from the universal soul and encode them into physical books and laws, using human language to compress cosmic data into readable symbols. Human language and sacred texts are intentional vessels. They are engineered to hold the encoded data of the universal soul, preserving its spiritual forms for human use. Once the prophets have encoded this data, the duty shifts to ordinary humans. We are required to interact with these physical texts. This interaction requires ta'wil, esoteric interpretation. The reader extracts the glowing hidden meaning from the physical ink, pulling it into their intellect. By exchanging these extracted meanings, humans actively absorb spiritual forms. This continuous extraction and absorption of spiritual forms is the mechanical process by which the individual human soul matures. It builds density in the intellect. This intellectual maturation is the strict prerequisite for the soul to transition into the spiritual realm and maintain its cohesion after physical death. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Your support really means a lot and helps me keep creating content for you all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. In this Ismaili framework, salvation is achieved through rigorous intellectual translation and interpretation. This architectural view of reality was deeply explored across Persian philosophy, notably by Jalal al-Din Rumi in his masterwork, the Mathnui. Rumi addresses the same structural duality using his own terminology, surat, meaning form, versus mani, meaning meaning. He writes explicitly, "Know that the outward form passes away. The world of meaning remains forever." We can visualize Rumi's metaphor here. He compares the physical world of form to white foam churning and dissolving, while the world of meaning is the deep, eternal ocean beneath it. For Rumi, just like Khosrow, the presence of the foam implies the presence of the water. The physical world is absolute proof of the underlying reality. Across distinct Islamic philosophical schools, a consensus forms: human beings must look past the temporary foam in order to drink the eternal water. This structural logic is not isolated to Persian theology. By looking at ancient Greece, we find a similar architecture of human thought. Plato's theory of forms operates on the same premise. Khosrow's Batin maps to Plato's intelligible realm, and the Zahir functions as Plato's world of appearances. This split-screen comparison highlights the functional overlap. On the left is Khosrow's tree of the universal soul, and on the right are the classical concentric emanation rings detailed by Plotinus. The Neoplatonic world soul acts as a direct structural equivalent to Khosrow's universal soul. Plotinus argued that the physical universe emanates from and mirrors higher realities. The physical is a dense, trailing echo of a pure, formless intellect. This duality persists into modern Western philosophy. Immanuel Kant divided reality along identical lines, separating phenomena, things as they physically appear, from noumena, things as they are in themselves. From 11th century Persia to Enlightenment Europe, philosophers independently deduced that physical reality is a shadow cast by a higher structural truth. We can finalize the demonstration of this framework's universality by examining East Asian cosmology. This calligraphy outlines the core theory of 12th century Neo-Confucian philosopher Zhu Xi. He built his metaphysics on two interacting concepts, Li and Qi. Li, represented by the grid, is principle, the invisible, organizing force equivalent to Batin. Qi, the chaotic particles, is the material force giving physical form to that principle, serving the role of Zahir. In Taoism, the eternal, unnameable Tao remains formless, but it continuously manifests into the physical reality of the 10,000 things. The Taoist sage acts exactly like Khosrow's ideal human. By observing physical patterns of flowing water or growing trees, the sage understands the formless Tao dictating their shape. Whether it is mapped through Islamic theology, Greek metaphysics, or East Asian cosmology, the underlying physics of spiritual reality remain identical. This visualizes our mapped intellectual journey. We started with the symmetry of an apple leaf, moved through Neoplatonic emanation rings, and found the same geometry in Neo-Confucian grids. Consolidating these models brings us back to Khosrow's unified conclusion. The physical universe is a purposeful construction. Reality is a meticulously crafted pedagogy. It is a teaching tool generated by the universal soul. The shared cross-cultural consensus describes a dual-layered reality, consisting of a physical text and a hidden meaning. The entire physical universe exists specifically to provide human beings with an active training ground for our own continuous spiritual evolution. This brings us back to the human fruit that Khosrow identified, our capacity for intellectual speech and reason. The human intellect exists to execute translation. While biology ensures our physical survival, the intellect processes the material world into spiritual data. Our cosmic task is to read the physical universe and the sacred texts placed within it, to extract their eternal meaning. Successfully performing this translation is the process by which we build our own spiritual permanence. By looking closely at the ordinary forms of the world around us, we are actively decoding the mind of the universal soul.